This is Johan Sellenrod, who's an old friend of mine and a painter who has been, very close to me over the last 12 years, which have been probably the most developmental of my life, because certainly before that I was just, fooling around. And so I invited him to talk a little bit with me about my paintings and maybe dig out some really meaningful things. Not to put the weight on you.
So, Peter, here we're sitting in your Chelsea studio.
Yep.
Behind this painting over here, which is an unfinished or almost finished painting.
That's right.
This painting came out of a whole series of other paintings that preceded it.
Yeah.
And you've gone through many series at this point. And so why don't you start at the beginning, or why don't we start at the beginning with what we were doing in Brooklyn when we first met?
Yeah, that would have been
the Paramount.
The Paramount series, which was that old theater there at LIU. At that time I was really interested in, well, we've talked about this, perspective, and everything really set up with this almost a cinematic approach to painthose where
it was a cinema originally.
I mean, it was a cinema too, yeah. But
I was one of those incredibly ornate cinemas.
Yeah.
In the 30s, right?
Right, and it was still kind of that fake golden gilded on the public side, but then where I kind of snuck into was the catwalks, and it was the dark and dirty side,
which is above the theater.
Which is ironically in that case almost the bowels, but they would have been like the hat because it was above the theater, even though it was the bowels.
Right.
Yeah. And it was dark and dirty, and it was just like the old subway system, Well, it still is dark and dirty once you leave the station, that sort of thing.
But you were attracted by perspective there?
I think I was stuck on perspective as a painter at the time. One of the biggest challenges for me over the years has been to move myself away from kind of a cheap perspective, kind of like a science fiction, fantasy perspective on everything, and rely more on form and color and actual ability to get senses of space and things like this.